Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, I will be doing a spoiler-free review for the first few minutes, and then I will bring on my guest who is in the background currently. C.S. Johnson, friend of mine. She will be joining so that we could do a spoiler discussion of the film, talking about what we liked about it, what we didn't. Now, I will put up this banner first, spoiler free review. What I will be going on from this point forward until I put up this banner will be non spoilers. So, Black Adam, a lot of the critics panned it, saying it's not that good and whatnot. Well, this is one of those movies where the critics are kind of full of crap. This movie is actually very good. It is actually well written. It has a good story. The digital effects for some scenes could be a little bit more refined. The characters, the casting are very well done, in my opinion. The Now I am aware that there is a race bent character. The girl who plays Cyclone is actually a redhead that is white in the comics. Honestly, there's really no, or I didn't really have a problem with the actress in this one. This film also has one of my favorite actresses from Person of Interest, Sarah Shahi, who played Shaw in Person of Interest, who was always just sociopathic with her ability to shoot people and just not give a damn. She plays very well in this. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, plays very well in this film. Um, I'm kind of curious as to why Amanda Waller is in this film. However, I guess there is a point to it. Because when Amanda Waller is in a film, you think Suicide Squad. However, the Suicide Squad wasn't in this film. So yeah. But I do like how this movie does give you a misdirect in the beginning. Everybody thinks that Teth Adam or thinks that Teth Adam was chosen and whatnot. But if you really know the comics, if you know certain, and I don't know the comics 100% perfectly, I'm not by any means a comics expert, but I do know a little bit about Black Adam and how I believe it was his. Well, that would be spoiling. The cast for this movie also keeps with Djimon Hounsou, who plays the wizard, but we also see the other wizards as well in this film. Now, the seven powers of Black Adam, for those of you who are not aware, they do spell out Shazam, the stamina of Shu, with superhuman stamina, invulnerability, agelessness, the swiftness of Horus, superluminal speed, whatever that means, the strength of Amon, superhuman strength, the wisdom of Zehuti, genius level intellect, clairvoyance, the power of Aten, control and emission of magical lightning and thunder, and flight, and the courage of Mehen, meaning unflinching courage and willpower and resistance to telepathy, which we all know where Shazam, Billy Batson's character, has the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury, basically going through the Roman and Greek pantheon. Now, this was apparently taking place before the Greek and Roman pantheon. So obviously they had a different set of beings to draw from. The humor in this movie was pretty well placed. I really did like a lot of the humor in certain areas. It did actually get fitting in some ways. It's dry humor. Because a lot of people forget, Black Adam, he's a villain. He's also an anti-hero when he does heroic deeds. Or for those of you who are unaware, anti-heroes kill. That's why they're called anti-heroes, not superheroes. Anti-heroes have no qualms about killing somebody in order to stop them from doing evil. But this film, it does a very good way of telling the story without pushing any agenda. I honestly saw no agenda in this film other than being a good story to entertain. Now, if you really want to assign an agenda to this film, SJWs might not like it. But I'm not going to say anything like that. Now, I did hear that a lot of people are whining about this film because, there weren't pushing any agenda about the politics of the Middle East. Why would it? Why would it push any sort of Middle Eastern politics? Because it takes place in the Middle East? So what? I don't care. I want to be entertained. I want to go to the theaters to be entertained, to escape from real world foolishness. And this movie allowed me to do that. I also ran into my high school science teacher while there. Shout out to you. He actually is recognizing that as well. Movies have been less about entertainment and more about pushing nonsense that is no longer entertaining. But there are some jewels out there, some diamonds in the rough. Shazam happens to be one of them. I really enjoyed this film. And one of the things that I really liked about it was the action, the fights. This is a being who battles at God tier level. And honestly, I can't wait for future films that involve Black Adam. Because, oh boy, was it teased. They do have a mid-credit scene. And, well, we will get to that when me and my co-host will get to that when we get to the spoiler section. I really did enjoy the story with Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, Cyclone, and Hawkman. One of the things I wish they had touched upon was Hawkman's other half. How you doing, Cassie? Good to see you. Cult Classic Cage. Now, for those of you who are unaware of the DC universe, Hawkman has a wife, or the other half of him, essentially. Her name is Shaira, and she's Hawk Girl. Well, unfortunately, she's not even mentioned in this film, which kind of sucks, because Hawk Girl is also one of the cooler characters that I like in DC. She's just as good as Hawkman. There are two beings that are basically essentially star-crossed lovers who are reincarnated time and time again with the powers of flight and hawks and whatnot. How you doing, Resolute Germ? Dr. Fate. I really do like how they showed Pierce Brosnan. Honestly, I hear a lot of critique against Pierce Brosnan in this film as Dr. Fate. Honestly, I thought he did a great job as Dr. Fate. How he is affected by the helmet, but in his lucidity at times, he is able to be extremely intelligent. This film just does a great job with that. Was this the alien or the immortal Hawkman in this? I'm guessing it was the immortal Hawkman, Resolute Germ. The cast for this movie, I thought that the actor who played Hawkman was actually very good. I've seen him in other films. I believe he was in the show Leverage, which he played the hacker in that show, and he did a great job with it. Sarah Shahi, I have not seen her in any other role other than Person of Interest, and she played a great character in that. So seeing her in this, I thought was a very welcome role she played. I do like how they incorporated the 7 deadly sins in a way into this film, which played a role in Shazam. Now, it is slightly different, the story that the wizard tells, that the wizard tells Billy Batson about the last person who had the powers. One thing I do like is that they show, or it's the twist that they show. Only diehard comic book fans will know the truth right from the get-go. But what they do show in this film is very well shown, and I do like how the twist that they have in this film comes about. Now, to go any further into that, to elaborate any further into that, would venture into the spoiler territory. So I am going to be careful on that. Atom Smasher, however, the casting for Atom Smasher, he had his humorous moments. I really did enjoy his character. Also, the character of Cyclone, I really enjoyed how they used her movements and did slow motion. They do a lot of slow motion in this film to incorporate the super speed element, which is actually very well done. I also like when Black Adam is unleashed when he is awakened in the present day. It really is a pretty cool scene. It's hinted and showed here and there, but this was purely, a lot of people say that this movie is not good, but honestly, I really cannot agree with them in this. As for the scale of 1 to 10, objectively, this film is around an 8. The one thing that does harm it is some of the lesser CGI. There's a scene where you see The Rock where he's not as muscular. It's definitely a different body, and they kind of did the Reface app over it. or looks like they did the reface app, that was because you actually can see his face move a little. It's like, yikes, tighten that up. So there is a few objective flaws, yes. They didn't go too overboard with humor. However, I wish they would have dialed it back just the tiniest of bits, because this film is definitely a film about somebody who kills and will not hesitate to kill if need be. As for subjectively, this film is absolutely a 9.5 out of 10. A little bit of shakiness with the CGI, but I will not take as much points off for that in the subjective. It was not, as what people say, woke. It is not woke in any shape, way, or form. Yes, there is a race-bent character with Cyclone, but honestly, there was nothing of this character saying, "Oh, I'm black, so I'm oppressed," or anything like that. There's none of that. There's absolutely none of that in this film. But I saw nothing to suggest any sort of outside agenda other than entertaining the audience, which is a welcome reprieve from all the agenda driven stuff that we've been seeing in Hollywood in the last few years. We do get the occasional exceptions, like this movie, like Top Gun Maverick, and a few others. Now, I am going to start going over to the spoiler section now, because I do have my friend in the background and she's been waiting, well, long enough. There's no political statement in it, Cayman Rider. None whatsoever. So, I will now start moving into the spoiler territory. If you do not want to be spoiled, I will give you 20 seconds to beat feet. So you got 20 seconds from now. All right, 5 seconds left, folks. If you don't want to be in, thank you for stopping by. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. Okay, so now we are in the spoiler territory. And here we go. We're bringing in my friend C.S. Johnson. How are you?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right, great. All right, great. Thank you for letting me come on and spoil things with you.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a good change of pace when it comes to my live reviews, because honestly, I would like to bounce ideas off of other people who have seen the film.
Yeah, well, that's half the fun, right?
Exactly. J Money says the fact that it's not woke, nor does the film preach political rhetoric in it, speaks volumes of why on Rotten Tomatoes critics scores is low and the audience score is high. Well, that is most likely the case, yes. Because we
Well,
all
it's
know
political
that if,
rhetoric as well as
yeah,
like cultural rhetoric. So,
well, there wasn't even any cultural things placed in this film. It was simply done to entertain. And Colt Clap or Cassie saying hi.
oh, hey, Cassie. Oh,
So, what did
what I
you
mean
think
by
of the
that,
beginning of this
oh,
film?
so I first of all, I really don't like voiceover, so I was kind of turned off
Yeah,
right out of the gates. But I get that they kind of have to do this with most of their DC characters just because, um, like all of
not
them
ever,
have like
not
such
everybody
different
knows about them.
backstories. Yeah, and not everybody knows about the details and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll let this pass. um, yeah, it was a little bit of a slow burn start, but
Yeah,
once they got into it and stuff like that, it was you had the action and you had the the tension of I will say like all the politics that I did see were in world,
Yeah.
so that was kind of nice. Um, with the like the foreign invaders coming over here, it was I
Yeah.
think the one line that really was like, oh, is this some kind of Bush era critique? I don't know. It was like about you
I
came in here to oppress us and steal our resources, and uh, I don't
thing
know.
is, in some third world countries, that is a thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
I know.
so it's not
And
absolute overt.
right. And there are some benefits to invasion. That's not like a blanket like approval statement of it, but
Yeah.
he like the kid that was there, he was like carrying a bunch of comics in it. So it's like at least like you still have access to stuff. Like I don't think it was bootleg or anything. So
No. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, there's a kid in this Amon or Ahmad or whatever his name was, who was basically a superhero fanboy, and
yeah.
I absolutely love the fight between Hawkman and Adam in this kid's room. If you pay close attention, the superheroes of the Justice League, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Batman, Superman, all of their logos or their posters are destroyed by Black Adam or Hawkman in this. So it's basically giving you a good idea of what or basically how egotistical Black Adam can be.
I thought it was a really
It-
good meta commentary.
yeah. What did you think of Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate?
I feel bad because like so most people know Pierce Brosnan is like 007, but the first film that I watched with him was the Thomas Crown Affair, which is kind of similar in some
Yeah.
ways to 007. It's like a thriller. So, but I kept trying. I kept looking at him, and I was like, I know his face. I don't know the name. So it was a bit of a distraction point for me. But I thought he did really well. He kind of reminded me of Alec Guinness in Star Wars, in that he's got that like that experiential gravitas to
Hmm.
the thing, especially when you compare him to like the Atom Smasher guy
Yeah.
and Cyclone. Yeah.
I will say this: Henry Winkler, I believe, played the original Atom Smasher that gave his nephew the suit, and I'm like, Henry Winkler as Atom Smasher? I mean, am I missing something? Is this like a joke, or is this something like I don't know? Because honestly, I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, apparently he
But
had a cameo when they were doing the FaceTime call because
yeah, that was him. Yeah, that was him.
yeah, I didn't know that though, but my best friend was with me and she's older than me. She's like, "Hey, that's the original guy." And I'm like, "Oh, oh, okay, cool."
Yeah, it's like original, sure, but original where exactly? Because the last time I saw the JSA was in Smallville, the show Smallville, where it was actually a two-part special edition episode or special edition episodes. And I actually remember watching it live when the show was, or when Smallville was actually running. And I got to say, Dr. Fate was also great in that, or was also good in that show too, with Tom Welling and them. But yeah, I really enjoyed Dr. Fate in this film because one, Pierce Brosnan, he has range. The man can do a lot of good acting. But
Yeah.
I also do like how in as he delivers his lines, like he actually discusses with Carter, Hawkman, how old he really is. He's like, I lived to see the first planes take off, the first aeroplanes take off,
Hmm.
which means he's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
So the Dr. Fate helmet gave him extended life, essentially. And you kind of the way that he delivers his the way that he talks when he's talking with Carter really does show that this man does have the weight of time on him, but he also has the weight of knowledge in him as well because of what he can see in the future and the fate of others.
Yeah, I thought he did a really good job of the role, and like I said, I really liked the gravitas. It helped really, um, like it really helps juxtapose like the not only like the newbie people, but it
Hmm.
also like talks about or it helps really establish like how like Black Adam has like missed all this time. And I thought it was a really good contrast because you have the foil on the one end on the good people side, the JSA, and then you have it on the anti-hero hero sort of dichotomy.
Yeah. So, what did you think of when he was released from the prison, essentially? Because it is revealed to be a prison that he was locked in when he is, or later in the film, but when he's released earlier in the film, what did you think of him coming out, slaughtering the guards, and then coming out where a whole army was basically waiting for him?
I actually really kind of like first of all, I was like, oh, all the power shots. I was like, yep, I know that Dwayne Johnson really wants those.
Yeah.
um, and I will say um it bothered me because it's like nobody like really talked to him. They just started like shooting at him. And I'm like, I guess it was like you can justify it as like, oh, this is wartime and people don't know who he is, and if you're not
Yeah.
for us, you're against us type stuff. But even like I mean, it's one thing to speak of like the brutality of war, but the incessant like addiction and obsession of war also kind of hit home. And you know, I was like, okay, so the only person that's really talking to him is the lady that's the one that was like reading the spell to release him, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, okay. And I mean, like, I will say this. I thought they picked the lead lady very well. I mean, she is a very learned, very
Yes. Sarah
motherly
Shahi.
sort of picture. Yeah, picture of a good female protagonist. I still thought like at some points it's like, okay, girl power, you know, go girl.
Honestly, I didn't see much of that either in this because, yes, she's willing to stand up to fight and protect her son, but she
Hmm.
also does give off that sense of vulnerability as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of the reason I think she worked in the end pretty well. It was only those few instances of like, oh, she gets to do all the important things because, oh, and she gets to make all the happy speeches and make them work together because she's the mom, you know. So
Well, yes,
I
she's
think if
like,
she was some kind of like hot 20 something year old girl, I would have had a lot more problems with
oh, yes, definitely.
her.
I mean, it's like if Sarah Shahi was, well, maybe like 20 or 10 or 20 years younger, it'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, this is kind of stretching it a bit. But she does have the weight behind her to basically give it's like this is a woman who's not going to take your shit. I mean, you're wrecking her house first because every
Mhm.
time freaking Black Adam doesn't believe in doors, man. He's just going through walls in this film.
Well, I
There's
actually
an
thought that was really dumb because like they had walls back in the ancient. I
yeah,
mean, in the whole castle. It's that was dumb, but
there's an international group of criminals, and he showed up in a bolt of lightning. They probably assumed he was Justice League or something. Well, that's the thing. I absolutely look because when he is there and somebody tries to put hands on him, he just grabs dude, lifts him up, and just fries him
mhm.
right there. Just channels his lightning right through the dude and fries him. And then when they start shooting at him, I absolutely love it. It's he just grabs one of the bullets. He's like, your magic is weak. And he just goes to town killing them all. He doesn't care. This is not
Yeah.
something that he is from a time where compassion and he was also part of a culture where compassion was not shown.
Mhm.
It just was unknown. Nature nature was more prevalent than humans and insane levels of compassion. he is not a hero. And he never said he was a hero. He even says, he's like, I never said I was a hero. And
Yeah.
you all don't need a hero, but what you can have is a protector.
Yeah. And that's something too that I thought the story was a little weak on, just because I mean, like, words change over time, especially how you
Hmm.
define them, and a lot of it is cultural and how you define it. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that, like, with the big time jump since the time of his imprisonment to the time he woke up, it has changed a lot. So I don't think that the dialogue was very helpful in pointing that out. It's like, "I never agreed to be your hero." Well, yeah, well, duh, you know? War heroes are a little bit more, um and I will say too, like, I know the DCU typically has, like, a lot of people that like, don't kill people, like,
Yeah.
I know, like, Batman doesn't kill, and Green Arrow doesn't kill at a certain point, and Superman doesn't kill and stuff, but, like, back in the like, I liken this a lot to, like, Bible times, but back in Bible
Yeah.
times,
People
you know,
kill.
you had King David and all this like, the songs that they would sing, it's like, Saul has killed his thousands and David has killed his tens of thousands, and, I mean, like, being a hero doesn't mean that you don't kill people, so, in that particular context anyway, so, because I thought it was vague. I get what they were going for,
Yeah.
but it was still a little you could, like, clear this up in, like, 2 or 3 sentences, guys.
Yeah. Resolute Germ has a good point here. They were comparing his power to League members to demonstrate he was on top tier power wise. And yes,
Mhm,
he's considered one of the strongest characters in the DC pantheon of god tier characters. I mean, this guy can go toe to toe with Superman,
mhm.
which DC tried to put a genie back in the bottle over the last few days because Dwayne Johnson kind of screamed it from the rooftops like an idiot. It's like, yeah, Henry Cavill Superman's back. And it's like, shut up. DC was basically, they're like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. No, no,
Oh,
no.
yeah,
He's not in it.
I don't think that was
Yeah.
a dumb move. I think that was intentional, and it was a very
Oh,
smart
yeah, it
move.
was.
When Henry Cavill
Because,
Superman showed up, my audience cheered.
oh,
So,
yeah, it was the mid credit scene. Was there an end credit scene?
there was the one where Superman shows up,
Mm-hmm.
and, um, there was another one too, but it was
Then I missed that one because I had to get out of the theater.
well, I mean, that was pretty much the big one, but,
Yeah.
I think they've already talked about doing a sequel, so
Oh, yeah. Or Dwayne Johnson. I recognize what Dwayne Johnson is doing. He's basically, what he's trying to do is to force DC and Warner Brothers' hands. It's like everybody wants to see Black Adam go up against Superman.
mhm,
Well, we're going to give him that. Now, there's probably not even a plan for that to happen, folks. But with DC or with Dwayne Johnson saying it, he's pretty much trying to get DC to be like, well, he said this is going to happen, so we might as well make it happen.
well, I
Honestly,
mean, he has the
you're
perfect
going to have to
excuse.
make it happen.
Yeah, well, he has the perfect excuse, though, if they decide not to. He's like, "Oh, well, the studio shut me down." So,
Well, the thing is, he knows that if they don't give the goods because they just set it up, they set it up perfectly in this film where Superman walks up, he's like, Black Adam, let's talk.
mm,
And one of the things like I said, I don't understand why Amanda Waller came in because she's always been associated with the Suicide Squad, not the JSA, the Justice Society of America. So it's kind of like, why are you guys talking about? But then again, she's also part of Cadmus, which can also put away superpowered beings. So that is the only reason why I would think that she is in this film. And whatchamacallit, I can't remember the actress's name who plays her. She plays her just so dang well.
oh, you mean Viola Davis?
Yes, Viola Davis. I mean, I can't stand her in The Woman King because I haven't seen it, and what I have seen of it is just abhorred. But her as Amanda Waller, it's as if she was born to play that character.
Yeah,
As far as
I think she did a
sorry,
pretty good job with it. No, it's like I was kind of like, oh, okay, you're back still, okay.
yeah.
So I know she took a beating in the Suicide Squad movie. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
As
honestly think
far as
it's a good.
DC power level,
Oh, sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
I was reading Resolute Germs. As far as DC power levels go, Adam is on par with Superman, Lobo, and Darkseid. Yeah, he's god tier.
Yeah, I will say, like, when they introduced him, and like I said, nobody's like, "Hey, maybe we should talk about this because we don't know who this guy is and we don't want to die." I think they
Yeah.
they introduced him very nicely. The power shots, like I said, like the like looking up under the hood and all the
Hmm.
damage and stuff. That was very, good character reveal. I'm sure Dwayne Johnson loved it. I think the killing someone right away was good. Um, it's like that person that, like, when you're on set, you hire somebody that you're going to fire the very first day so that people just know you're in charge. And
It's a good setup for who this
yeah,
character is.
yeah, and he does it like right away, no questions asked. I mean, he doesn't ask any questions either, he just does it. So that should
Yep.
give you like the first impression of his character is he's very powerful and he does what he wants, and he does what he feels is needed to do, and he has no qualms about or no regrets about it either. So
No, he really doesn't. And what did you think of the twist that they give you during the narration of what supposedly happens back in Kahndaq, back in the 5,000 years ago scenes, where the battle was so ferocious, but he was victorious. And then they spring the truth on you of what happened back then. How did you think that was done? Or was it done well, or did you think that it was too predictable?
honestly, I didn't think that it was done very well. It was kind of clumsily um, handled. Yeah, the because like this whole like the lady's life, like she's the university professor. She's very scholarly. She's got the big jobs behind her, and she knows her stuff. And it's like all of a sudden she like talks with these people from out of the country, and she even tells them herself, like, you don't belong here, you don't know these people, you don't know what we need, you don't do anything for us, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, we know this thing about this guy that you think he is, and it's not what you think he is. And it's like, oh, we're gonna suddenly change our entire tune over that after you've like already discredited them. So
Well, the thing is, she still sides with Adam.
yeah. Oh
That's the
well.
thing that I do like about it. It's like, or or the Justice League came, or Justice Society came in, and they're like, or everybody's like, uh, get the hell out of here. You're kind of causing problems. And Black Adam, they're all cheering for. It's like
Hmm.
this, or well, this guy just literally liberated us. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
good luck
that is
with getting the people on your side.
that is one thing I liked about the film is that, like, because you can look at a problem like on multiple levels, right? And
Hmm.
obviously, the people who are suffering, they need a protector, they need a hero, they need a champion, and they found
Yeah,
one, and they found someone who's will not hold back
yeah,
from killing people, and um, that's what they want after so many years of oppression. But then, like, the JSA people come in and they're like, "You're a threat to like the whole world, and we need to make sure that you're able to be detained and controlled or contained, something like that." And it's
yeah,
so they're looking at it from like a higher level of problems that need to be solved, and
yeah,
that's where a lot of the clash comes from. And I liked that. That's smarter screenwriting than I've seen. And I will say it's very well anchored to the past problems of the question of being free
hmm,
and like the ultimate quest of heroism. And I thought that was very well done. I was like, "Oh, this is a smarter movie than it ought to be, I guess."
Yeah. One of the things I did like about this was this is Black Adam, folks. You'd think that a villain or a villainous character or anti-hero in this case would, or when they put him on a throne, it's like, how's it feel? Wrong. And he just destroys the throne. And I'm like, that just seems to be the perfect thing. I mean, yes, Black Adam is evil in some comics. He's very much a victim or a villain, rather, not a victim, a villain in those comics. But in this scene where he just feels that it's just it doesn't feel right. It feels wrong, and he just destroys it. I mean, that is just pure Dwayne Johnson, in my opinion.
I will say there's a very famous quote, and I'm pretty sure it's from C.S. Lewis, but it's like it's been said that some men are only meant to be slaves, but I reject the notion that any man is able to be a slave master. And it kind of made me think of that in that moment. And like I said, it's the philosophy behind the fighting of Black Adam, of fighting for your freedom and fighting for liberation is a very noble one. And I think they did that part pretty well, especially with the throne scene where he does collapse it all. Especially since like in the 10 minutes before that, we had the succubus guy that was spitting fire out from it. And it's like you can easily see where bad leaders will give you a bad just a bad situation. It will lead you into hell and sometimes bring hell to you in this case.
And actually, honestly, this, or the way that they did this demon guy, Sabak or whatever his name was, or Sabak or whatever, if they play this right, if they can actually introduce the Teen Titans or the Titans with Raven and do it well, they can actually introduce another demonic figure who's extremely powerful in the DC pantheon as well, Trigon, who's
Raven's bad.
Yes. I mean, if they could, or if they can tighten up the CGI on this demon dude, Sabak, they could really do Trigon very well, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and that would actually be something that I would want to see.
I'm still hoping that Teen Titans, the original animated series, will get a sixth season. So
yeah,
let's get that first, please.
I'd like to see that too, because I like the original Teen Titans series because that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they kind of stopped it, and it's like, are you out of your mind?
What?
People like that stuff. Then they did those little Munchkin Teen Titans, and I'm like, nobody wants this chibi shit. Pardon the French. But it's like, go away. Go, shoo, be gone. I want those ones. They're better. But yeah, I'd have had Sabak tie into Shazam too. I mean, yeah, sure, but honestly, Black Adam should have been the villain in this movie. May not have been a villain, but he definitely wasn't a hero. He was an anti-hero. That's like, you killed him, didn't you? Well, yeah, he looks and there's the dude falling, and he's like, he didn't make it. It's like, you could have flown and grabbed him.
Yeah.
But it would have defeated the purpose. But it's like, oh my God, I do like that, or the scenes where it's like, we don't kill people. You don't kill people.
Yeah.
I do.
And just again, it comes back to that clash with the world views, and it's not offering, it's not telling the audience, which it's not preaching to the audience a particular
Yeah.
way either. It's kind of, and the whole movie is about them kind of working it out to where they can work together for common values and common goals,
Yeah.
while still going about it in a very drastically different sort of way.
Hmm.
I actually really liked that. So
Yeah. And I really do like how they kind of have a clash of morals. It's like, we don't kill people. Well, you're getting in my way, so let me do what I do. And I really do
I like
like
that.
how they go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I just like that they don't tell you that there's a right way or wrong way, and it's up to the audience to
Yes.
decide.
Yeah, it really is. And honestly, that is actually the best way to do it because that way you're not basically saying this is what you need to believe in or this is what you need to think is right or wrong. You decide Black Adam's way or the JSA's way. And that is just really well done because they don't tell you. It's like, well, who do you side with? Kind of like how they did with Thanos in the Avengers films. Yes, he was the villain, obviously, and he murdered half of the universe, obviously. But oh my God, there was so much talk outside of the theaters. It's like maybe Thanos had a point. And I'm like,
Well, in
as
yeah, and it
psychotic as that is,
yeah, and I think, I don't know. I think it's almost like it's a constant sort of thing of like, can you be more people oriented or are you going to be pragmatic about it? Because and it does have real world applications. It just doesn't bring any of those into it. A lot of the baggage, and it's a good debate to have for, like I said, real life instances of things.
oh yeah.
Um,
I mean, these are very a lot of people or anybody can be a leader or anybody can be elected as a leader, but it takes somebody who is able to make a very or the hard choices that truly make a great leader, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about presidents or anything. I'm just talking or leaders, period. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people say that, well, the president should have done this, the president should have done that. Or a lot of people say, well, this person should have done this, this person should have done that. Put yourself in their shoes. Um, weigh all of the options. And if you can seriously come up with a choice in less than a minute, you're not worthy of that position because
well,
you are literally weighing lives versus lives.
yeah, and the other thing to that though, like on a more individual level, is like I really get tired of people who blame other people for stuff. I mean, obviously there's some things that you personally can't control, but there's always things that you
Hmm.
can personally do to make the world a better place. And I really get frustrated with people who just argue politics all the time and
Yeah.
don't really do anything. And that's what I think is another thing that I liked about the JSA and Black Adam is like they're doing something. Maybe it's
Hmm.
reactive, maybe it's very irresponsible, or maybe it's like overkill in some way.
Yeah.
And but the whole like a bad plan is better than no plan at all type thing.
Hmm.
I liked how that kind of paralleled the whole thing together, and it almost was a little bit of a meta commentary on DCEU anyway. I was like, oh,
In a
multi
sense,
levels.
yes. Oh my God, a bad plan is better than no plan at all. Justice League.
I was gonna say Justice League.
And it's like, boy, I mean, was that a slight at the Justice League, Carter? But yeah, oh my God. I mean, honestly, they really have a good opportunity to actually keep to the Snyder universe.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually said to my friend, I was like, I think if they cut the slow-mo, we could have gotten out 10 minutes earlier.
yeah, right.
I was like, they're just
Um,
trying to keep Zack Snyder's touch like somewhat on it, but you can tell it's not him. So
yeah. And I also do like how they do show him speeding around without the slow motion, where they actually show how fast he really is moving.
yeah, that was one of the points of inconsistency I noticed because It's like, oh, you're like up north and all this far away, and then here you are
Mhm.
chasing these bikes over here, and it's like, boom, like it was, yeah, I noticed that, but I'm
The
picky.
scene where the scene where he's coming out and he's still hooded, where he's or where he's going after the van, not to kill him or not to kill him, but because he's curious about it. He casts out lightning for a certain group. He tilts things, claps a couple people away, does a few other things, and then busts through another truck, all in the span of a few seconds, or like 2 or 3 seconds, to basically let people know just how fast he is. Now, one thing I did notice, which was slightly inconsistent compared to things like Justice League and this movie, was when they shoot a 50 caliber or a 50 cal at Superman, you actually see the skin ripple when it hits his face. Where when you see it hit Black Adam, or a 50 cal hit Black Adam, it's like, what? You don't even see anything happen to his face. And it's like, that's where you could have actually done a little bit of a reaction, like, okay.
Oh, like brushing yourself off after like a bug lands on you or something.
Yeah, essentially like that. I mean, because if you see the Zack Snyder's Justice League, they're unloading 50 cals at him. And the first 50 cal that hits him is right in the cheek, and it's like, he's like, okay. Where in this, 50 cal, or hits him right here, and it's like, dong. What? And it really is just, I mean,
Well,
I'm
I would
like,
say I think part of that
maybe,
was because he's not familiar with bullets at this point either.
yeah.
So it was,
But also, he is more, I believe he has higher stamina or endurance than Superman. So
I feel like,
when he fights Superman, it's not going to be easy for Superman. This dude has magic.
yeah, I feel like, especially probably because of The Rock's portrayal, he's a very solid character too. So he's probably a lot more like Superman, I think is, like he's, truth, justice, and the American way. And I think he's a little more like, in terms of personality wise, he's a little bit more soft. And
Yeah.
that's also a good, um, it's, I mean, not to like downplay Superman's power or anything, but just his determination level. He wants to try to save people, and that's like his main goal. Whereas Black Adam is more like, hey, I'm here and I'm not moving unless I want to.
Yeah. I mean, now if they continue the Zack Snyder Justice League, meaning the Zack Snyder universe, this Superman is, well, he's going to be rather more brutal, because have you seen Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Yep.
The 4 hour? I
Oh, the
mean,
whole. Okay, I fell asleep during it. I'm sorry.
well, near the end, he's pounding into Steppenwolf and literally blasts off this dude's horn.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, freaking Wonder Woman decapitates him. But it's like this dude or Superman is literally just going to Pound Town and Heat Vision. So this would be a great fight for Superman, in my opinion. I'm truly looking forward to that.
Yeah,
And
I think their ethos is very diametrically opposed to each other, so it'll be a good clash.
yeah, because I just love that look that Adam gives Superman when he comes in. He's like, "Let's talk."
Mm-hmm.
He just smiles. It's a grin it's like, I don't
Very
think he wants to
self-assured.
talk. Yeah, it's like, I don't think he wants to talk. He gonna want to fight.
Well, see, I actually think Superman would start off with talking, though, for what it's worth. I just think that they'd have a problem that they'd have to solve, and it'd be like
Yeah.
almost like it'd be like Godzilla versus Kong. In the end, there's some bigger problem that they have to team up and
Yeah.
smashed to pieces and stuff. So
I mean, I'm honestly, if they do Man of Steel 2, I'm hoping it's Black Adam or him, Black Adam, and even Shazam coming in, because Shazam or Black Adam goes after Shazam in the comics. He's really
Mhm.
hates Shazam.
Well, I think
So,
Shazam. I will say like the tie-ins and stuff to Shazam are very impressive. I was like,
yes,
oh, hey, the wizard guy, I know him.
yep. And for the longest time, I've never been able to pronounce his name until it's like, okay, screw it. I'm just gonna look it up. Okay, instead of Digimon Hansu, it's Jaimon Hansu, and it's like, okay, now I know, because I was always calling him Digimon.
Oh, we'll see. I just said Wizard Man. Yeah,
Yeah,
Billy Batson went to the Wizard Man and
yep.
got his
And
powers
he
from the
was the
Wizard
last of the
Man.
wizards. Yeah,
Yeah, I like how they brought in the other wizards and stuff too for a little bit. I know that they're not there in Shazam, but it was a nice tie-in, and it was
well, it's because they all died in this movie
yeah,
trying to contain him.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
And that was good. That was good backstory for Shazam.
Which
And
is kind of interesting, that necklace that she had, uh Sarah Shahi's character, was the one, or I believe was Teth Adams' wife's. And she also did say that this was passed down from
mhm.
family to family. It's like, maybe it was found by her family, because
Maybe she
this
had a sister.
maybe, I mean, because if they're suggesting what I think they're suggesting, this family is related to Black Adam.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
actually thought that was one payoff, set up and payoff thing that just didn't like come to be. I was actually
yeah,
kind of ticked off with that because I was like, explain the necklace to me, please.
yeah,
um, because there is, like you said, there is like if his son is dead and Black Adam has been like in prison for 5,000 years and the wife's
yeah,
dead. I mean, like who does it go to and how are they related? And um, I guess like I guess it was just an indicator too of like the passage of time and descendants and stuff, but it was still one of those things where it's like, hey, you could have spent like two more sentences on this for me or something. So
yeah. I also like when they're planning to go into the mountain region to go after the kid, and he's like, okay, I need you, son of a bitch. It's like he's already, and then they see him on radar, or just, and he's like, okay, he's going in. He doesn't care. It's like, I'm not waiting for these idiots. You guys do the plan. I'll just freaking beat everybody up. So yeah, I absolutely love that.
yeah. Um yeah, there were some I guess like there were some things that I didn't like that much, but they were very far and few in between. I think the CGI was a little heavy in certain areas. I mean,
Yes.
your brain can only take so much.
Hmm.
They did really good with the practical effects, though. I actually know some of the people that worked on the film, and the practical effects were really done really well. And I'm not just saying that because they're my friends, but
Yeah.
like when you were talking about him flying,
Hmm.
there's actually they actually had like invented a machine that helped him levitate to give that effect. So it was like
Yeah.
real.
Wires.
Well, I mean, it was yeah, it wasn't wires, but it's like it was actually like a levitation device, and it was
Oh,
cool.
nice. That's
So
pretty cool.
yeah, um so like I said, the CGI was really pretty heavy, but I think I liked a lot of their practical effects. Um, the bike scene was pretty good. Like it was, you could tell
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff was practical there, and and um, I
I
don't know. I
like the
guess
quick draw scene.
oh yes, the Western sort of
Yeah. It's
tie-in.
like, okay, there you are. Yeah,
Westerns are making a comeback. I will say that.
yeah, they are.
Like people have talked about it for being dead for years, and it's like no, it's been put to bed for a little bit. So I think that's
Taking a
something that
nap.
well, I mean, like westerns speak to like the adventure and the undiscovered. And I think every generation eventually comes to the point where they're like, "Hey, what's next?" And they find something that's next, and whether
Hmm.
it's like dealing with the fallout or the fall or the decline of civilization as we know it, or like a new frontier. I mean, the westerns will always be the universal answer to that. So I didn't. I appreciate that, and that was a good setup and payoff. Like as opposed to like the necklace and stuff, and the parallels were really good too. Like the necklace lady
Hmm.
with her son, and then Black Adam with his wife and her necklace and his son. I thought that was
Yeah.
speaking to like a new era of his life. I don't think his miraculous turn of heart and guilt over his son's death was like genuine or really well done or really well set up, but that was probably that was the one I was getting to with the payoffs and setups being off. I didn't think that he'd have a very good, oh hey, maybe I need to stop doing this moment of reckoning.
Yeah.
But were there any parts that you didn't like? Because I think that's all that really bothered me.
Honestly, there wasn't really much of this that turned me off. The digital demon Sabak, how it was very much digital with him. I wish they would have also had some sort of a practicality with it, because it just, or full digital villains just don't really mark well for me. I do, or it's like, if you're going, you at least got to have some sort of practical quality to it. And because if it's fully digital, you then have to work on lighting, which never does well with, or you got to have some eagle-eyed people when you're doing digital work and lighting, because digital lighting is not easy, folks. That's the only real thing that I had, or that I had about it, which I put in my spoiler-free review. I didn't go too far into it because honestly, that would have been too spoilery. But yeah, other than that, this
Oh, okay.
movie.
I remember one that I hated. I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so when Dr. Fate goes in and does the little light shield around the castle, and
Yes.
he basically like distracts the guy until he dies. Um, I was really ticked off with how they did this, because it's like there are three superheroes, and you're telling me that none of them could have figured out a better way in. And I mean, like, they do disappear for this like amount of time and stuff, while Dr. Fate is compelling Adam to like awaken and everything at the same time. So it just drove me crazy. It's like, look, Atom Smasher, like, get big, go smash your foot down. It's not rocket science. So
Well, Hawkman's
yeah.
mace can literally smash atoms, like, at the atomic level. So if that thing wasn't breaking through that barrier, I don't think Atom Smasher was.
No, but it was still one of the things as his power weakened. You could see like
Yeah.
openings in it. It's like, hey,
Yeah, that
cyclone.
they should have shown them breaking through then.
Well, I get that like they're supposed to be like the two little kids, the cyclone and
Yeah,
Adam Smasher are
Atom
supposed to be
Smasher.
newer, but like she's supposed to be really smart. I mean, like she should have seen that, and she should have like
Genius. Yeah.
yeah. So and it was like, I mean, like the way that they shot it, it wasn't like noticeable if you were like really immersed in it. But I like when he started talking about Hawkman dying, I was like, oh okay, so like that kind of thing is like that's pretty much a trope. It's like where
Yeah.
the guy who predicts the future will sacrifice it to save someone else's life or something. Like that's been done before. So
Yeah.
even with like Doctor Strange, you have the the Twiggy lady.
Oh yeah.
Lady.
What's her name?
Yeah. The White Witch lady.
Yeah. The
she sacrifices her life and stuff, and she dies in
Yeah.
that movie too. So I was like, oh, okay. So Kirsten sees the future. Who can see the future is probably gonna die. So okay,
Yeah.
and he saved it. He saved the other guy's life. So, and I will say, like, I thought that was pretty well done with because Hawkman like getting stabbed, and it turns out that it's like a projection of one of because he's using the helmet now. I thought that was good, at least,
Yeah.
because it didn't stop that from happening, but it happened in a way that it like still made sense, and it was still like scary for a moment. So, like,
Yeah.
oh,
It makes you wonder. It's like, oh shit, that's exactly the moment, you know?
yeah. So, but yeah, the shield part I was like, come on, be smarter than this. So,
It's a trope that's been overdone in DC movies. I mean, okay, we got to get through the shield. Okay, we got to get through the shield. Really? Get through
yeah,
the shield already.
yeah.
Enough with the shields.
Yeah, I was actually curious about why that didn't work with the Eternium shield when they had the
Yeah.
kid at gunpoint. And I will say one thing I like better about DC movies versus Marvel is that there's usually a lot more death. So, and it's a little bit more graphic. And I don't mean this in
Yes.
like in a
Sick or twisted way.
yeah. I mean, like, it's the thing about Marvel is it's very sanitized and very clean. And I mean, even with Dr. Fate dying, he just kind of faded away, and I was like, oh, that's handy, you know.
Well,
But
yeah. I mean, his helmet should have stuck around because his helmet is eternal because it will seek out another host.
right. Yeah, so I thought that, I mean, but like all like even Black Adam, like picking up that guy and like frying him to death very,
Yeah.
very graphically. I was like, oh, good. We know what kind of person that's to signal to
Yeah.
us what kind of person this is, what we're dealing with, what kind of power is to come. And this is only the start, so it's only going to get more. And
Yeah.
then, but like threatening the children and killing the children and enslaving an entire populace, those are all things that I was like, good, good. People need to see that it's not just,
All sunshine and rainbows.
yes, it's not all just sunshine and rainbows. And those sunshine and rainbows sometimes just seem a little dimmer than usual.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the things I liked about the DC EU, especially when it was Man of Steel,
I think they
Batman
overdid it
versus
in Man of Steel.
Batman versus Superman, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League. They kept the darker aspects to it. It's like, be a little bit more realistic with what you're doing here. You know?
Right.
I mean, that's the one thing that Zack Snyder's vision was. He wanted it in a more grounded situation of now what would happen. I mean, Superman or the Kryptonians leveled a freaking city. So
Yes. That is another thing that I did see, though, that I was like, oh, Zack Snyder didn't do this one because the whole city was like torn apart.
yeah, I know. And
And
it's
all these
like,
issues.
well, Zack Snyder would be proud of this one. I could definitely tell you that. I mean, honestly, I think he actually would be proud of this one because there was enough hefty killing and destruction in this. I think it would slake his bloodlust a little bit.
Yeah, I will say
So
in
what
Man of
would,
Steel, it was too much, though. It was like just way too
yeah,
much. Like the last 40, 50 minutes of that movie is just fighting. And it was like, can we stop now and get some like kid character development again? Please?
yeah,
It was a nice setup for Batman v Superman, too, like where Bruce Wayne has like legitimate issues with Superman running around and destroying whole cities and stuff, trying to stop the bad guy. And it did ask that, again, like those bigger questions of, if this guy is worth stopping, how many people is it worth to like let die instead, through
I mean, if there's even a 1% chance, then we need to make it or we need to see it as an absolute certainty.
right. So, and I think he was coming off of the whole Man of Steel thing and stuff, that did kind of like push him towards the different polar ends a little bit more, like with that. And that, so I don't fault that as bad writing. I just think the 40 to 50 minutes was too much for me to sit there and be like, I want character development. Give me human drama that, like, at least let me see the people dying.
Yeah, right. Alrighty, so an hour 10 in. Well, how would you rate Black Adam?
I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. But I'm either really hard to please or really easy to please. So
Well, 6.5 is technically still passing if you're giving
yeah,
it a out of 100. That's a 65 out of 100. That's passed by the skin of your teeth.
I took 5. I took the point 0.5 off for the voiceover at the beginning. Like I said,
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of voiceover. I understand it's shorthand, but it's kind of like lazy shorthand to me. So
yeah,
if you need it, you need it. Okay, but like do as good of a job you can. I thought it was just really long too.
yeah.
After that whole scene actually happened, I was like, okay, so we're gonna get the title for Black Adam now.
Hmm.
And the whole movie ends up being like happening before you see the title. So it was okay
Yeah,
that way. And that I was like, oh, okay, there it is. I took a point off for some of the contrivances. It's like, oh, you just happen to be here. Oh, and this lady just happens to be the only person that can find this place after not really having that difficult amount of time to get there. And she's only got 3 people with her. Okay. And oh, the brother getting shot, and then like 10 minutes later in terms of the movie, he's like on his feet again, running and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, well that's good. That's convenient.
well, they did heal him with nanobots and shit. So,
I know, but it was like
but
again,
yeah,
it's
I
like
definitely get it. He wouldn't have been able to do much of what he was doing. That's just
yeah.
that's the miracle of movie magic, folks.
Well, I mean, to fix it so it would have been at least a little bit more acceptable, they could have had him be shot like in an arm or like where
Yeah,
there's like major arteries there. He could have had spurting out blood a lot more. But no, he's just this really fat guy
yeah. They could have
that got
said
shot.
they gave me a shot of adrenaline or some shit. But, I mean, that would have explained why he had a little bit more pep in his step. You know?
Yeah, so I took off some for the contrivances. I mean, like, there's a lot I did like I said, I liked the parallels. I liked the philosophical grounding. I liked a lot of the performances. I will say, like, Hawkman's mask made him look cross-eyed in some scenes, and I'm just like, "Oh my,
Yeah,
am I the
that
only
is
one seeing
the
this?"
risk of the hawk mask.
I yeah, so, I liked that they brought in, like, the new characters while still paying kinda, like, homage to the older ones in some way, like, with the the Atom Smasher original guys popping in, saying hi, and,
Hmm.
um yeah, but I took points off for the contrivances, I took a points off for the poor setups and the failed payoffs, and then I took off the half point for the voiceover at the beginning. That's that's pretty par for the course. I will say, for what it's worth, I gave the same score to Moana, although, I recently rewatched Moana, and I'm like, this has gotten a downgrade, so
Yeah,
I think what does help it though is if you do go to the movie theater and you do sit like in the middle of the theater and you get that kind of like immersion experience with some of the
that's
stuff.
where I sit every time I go to the theaters.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
I will say
center
that
seat, center row.
yeah, that is probably a good portion of the magic of movies is it's this ability to cut you off from the rest of the world and like throw a bunch of things at you. Um, because I think that would probably be that probably explains the difference in Moana score. So, good job, Dwayne Johnson. You're welcome,
Indeed.
right? So
As for me, I would go, like I said, objectively, I would put this at a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. There are issues here and there. There are a little bit of plot contrivance, but it's the CGI that is the real kicker on it. It does kind of, the CGI demon just was a little bit too doughy, if you ask,
cartoony.
or yeah, it was a little bit too doughy and cartoony. But other than that, the movie was very solid. It had a great story. It had the right amount of action. A little bit overzealous on the comedy, but for the most part, it was entertaining. As a moviegoer, this is purely 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and I will say too, like I have kids, I have a family. It's like this is something that when my kids are a little bit older, I can watch with them, no problem. Some
Yeah.
stuff that I mean, you can't say that about a lot of things, but And I appreciated that they did bring in the more comedy elements for the children, I think,
Yeah.
and they did it in a way that is different from Marvel. They don't do a lot of the quipping. They do more with, like like, they coach your expectations for one particular thing, and then
Hmm.
they change it, and, that's actually one of my favorite forms of humor.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
but yeah, recommend, go see it. It's worth your money. Um,
definitely.
and if you have like I got like I will say like the like for the first time ever that I remember, the previews were so irritating. I mean, it was like 30 minutes of previews that I had to watch to get to the actual
Yeah.
movie. I had an 11:30 showing this morning. We didn't start the movie till 12, and I mean, like usually I'm like, oh, I'm okay with previews, but
Yeah.
it was real. I got like three of those, like that Stubs thing from AMC, where you get three movies a week and free upgrades on your popcorn and soda.
We had the uh we had this peripheral Amazon show called Peripheral. We also had uh Black Panther, the teaser to Black Panther, not the next trailer that was out recently. Um and I believe there was another one, and then that was it. Then we got straight into the movie. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, we had The Menu, Wakanda Forever.
yeah,
We had the we had a Godzilla like showing. I thought that was fun because it was the original Godzilla that they're going to show on November 3rd. And then we had like four different commercials about silencing your cell phone and
we also had that stupid ass Toyota electric car thing for it's like the guy's listening to his mom just
oh,
banter for freaking an hour and a half, and he's like,
I will
"Are
say
you
like
yawning?" It's like, "Shut up."
I don't understand the appeal of car commercials. Like it's like you just need a car that will work for you and your family. So, so I don't need
Well,
somebody to sell it to me.
the car commercial is because they're working with the theater, so it's kind of a sponsorship thing.
I guess so with that, vertical integration and
Yeah.
synergy stuff. So
Well, anywho, that is like
do we have any
that
questions
should
from our audience? Anything you want to
yeah.
know?
I There's three people still left, but honestly, we are going to be cutting it here.
Mhm.
Thank you, CS, for coming in.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Orange Hat. I like hanging out with you. So
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely going to have to do it again sometime.
yeah.
And thank you to Resolute Germ, Cassie, J2023, Money J2023, Cayman Rider, and who else? Who else? Who else? It seems those were the only ones that were in. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. I would like to find a Naboo named and good discussion. Thank you, Cass, for staying in. I'm going to get some sleep because I got to be up at 2 o'clock to put wood on the fire. So, yeah.
Oh well, be safe.
Yep. Thank you so much for joining CS. And I will be on the other discussion come Monday morning or Monday night with Society Reviews, where we're all going to be talking Black Adam.
Okay, maybe I'll bother you
And
there too.
yeah, also Tuesday morning will be my final mystery review, where it's going to be, or the hint is a horror that true horror that still frightens generations. So no guessing if you know what it is in the comments. So wait
So it's a
until
documentary on somebody. Got it.
and also the next live review that I do will most likely be Wakanda Forever. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all know the drill. If you're catching this on the repeat, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think of Black Adam. Did you like it? Did you not? What were your thoughts? Let me know all that stuff down below, folks. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Have a wonderful night, and always remember, stay humble.